In my shop, I make wren houses. That's what I started doing in the beginning when I first started, and that's pretty much what the carcass, the beginning of a wren house looks like. Be a little up front view. Of course, there'll be a roof added and support, whether it be a mounting bracket or sometimes I use a clothes hanger to make a hanging birdhouse. And these are the parts. They're laid out on the bench ready to put it together. And then I work here on this table. I use a pneumatic nailer, two screw guns, a drill and a screw gun. And then I have some additional stock planed ready to go. I use all poplar material because it has a good weather resistant factor. Use my chop saw a lot. Boy, that air compressor come on right when I didn't want it. I use my chop saw a lot. It's a rigid. It's very nice. It cuts angles. Oh my, up to I don't know, like 60 degree. So it's really nice. Also, I have a standing drill press floor model. It's a Craftsman. I use it a lot, drilling and countersinking. And I have a radial drill press that I use for my cornhole boards. I saw the hole in my cornhole board, so that's a view of it. A regular drill press is not doesn't extend out far enough to get your cornhole boards drilled. So I got that saw assembly for that, and it's been really good. I just love it. And then I have a rigid table saw, 10-inch. It really does a good job. I really love it. Only one thing I'm a little bit upset with is the fence on this saw is not very accurate. And I think that's just part of learning to live with the saw. I use a very big carpenter square. I'm always squaring up my fence. It's something that I just have to do, because otherwise your cuts are off, and I don't want that. I like everything to be nice and clean and look good. Also, I have I have a Ryobi assembly that I use, and I have a 1/2-inch router mounted to it, and I have a lift assembly from Rockler. Boy, I don't know what I would do without a Rockler lift assembly. That is the most fantastic piece of equipment, and it works so well. I just love it. And then I have a fairly small band saw because I've just ran out of room. I just don't have enough room to put a floor model band saw in. And then I've got a 12-inch sander, disc sander, and I've got a 6-inch disc sander with a belt on it. So I use them periodically for different things. I don't use them all the time, but occasionally. Then in that box there is a dedicated mortiser. And then I have an oscillating spindle sander. And there's my surface planer hidden in a box so chips don't go everywhere. And then behind that we have the old my oh my. I don't know how old that Black & Decker is, but radial arm saw. It just does a really good job though, and I love it. Occasionally I drag it out and use it, but not very often. It's just the way it is. And we have our jointer here. We have a jet jointer that does a fantastic job. I just love it. And then I have another dust collector vacuum hidden under that. The big dust collector's over here. This is the one I use all the time on my saws. And I have a dust separator. I got that from Rockler. Boy, I really like it. It really does a good job. It keeps probably I would say 90% of the heavies out of the vacuum, which really helps a lot. That way you don't have to be cleaning it constantly. And then behind that we have our grinder that I don't use very often, but boy, it does come in handy occasionally when you need it. And then up on top we have our air compressor with its auxiliary tank. It works really well. My large capacity air compressor bit the dust. And I had this little guy just for inflating tires or doing different odd things. So I decided, well, I'll just go ahead and use it. So I had that Porta Cable, fairly good air compressor. I've had it for years and years and years. I built a house with it, and I've put a roof on, two or three roofs on with it, and it just served me well. But it blew up, so now I use it as an auxiliary tank. Works really well. It gives me twice the capacity. But that's kind of an overview of my shop and some of the things that I'm doing here. I make a lot of different products. I make lanterns, wooden lanterns, and a number of different things. I get a lot of people come to me. They want me to do, odd jobs, and sometimes I do bookcases, and I don't know, just a whole bunch of different stuff. Just whatever kind of walks in off the street. And then there sits my boat, which I hardly ever use. That's a 19-foot Bayliner, and it's got a 20-horse Mercury on it, and I hardly ever use it. I don't even know why I keep it, but that's what it is, so, I just hang on to it. So that's sort of an overview of what I do. And there's a close-up of my screws that I used on different projects. I keep a good supply of galvanized screws, and it works out pretty well. So that's kind of what I got going on here at the shop. And I made that nice water wheel a few years back, and it seemed to be a good project. I really enjoyed doing that, but it's very intense. It took me about almost 2 weeks, and I'm not sure I want to do projects that take me that awful long. It ties up the equipment for a long period of time, and I'm not able to do some of the other small projects that I like to do. So here I am, and there's my John Deere mower. I really enjoy that. It's one of them 0 turns, 42-inch, does a fantastic job. I just love it. Well, that's sort of an overview of what I do and where I'm at here in good old Pennsylvania, located in Elwood City, Mercer Road. Well, this is Ron at the Birdhouse shop. Thank you for watching. Bye now.